Whether you're thinking about writing a book, you've already got a book, and you want to figure out how to get it published, well, the Publishing Club folks know all about how to do that. I want to welcome Scott Galasso and Diana Party to our program. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys have an event coming up. Tell real quick. Let's talk about the event. It's coming up on the 20th, and what's it going to be all about?
Yes, well, we're having a panel. It's a marketing panel, and it's basically the techniques you use to market your book, how to do it without spending, your life savings, things like that.
Right.
Basically giving tips to people who haven't had the opportunity to publish before, and telling them the processes you can go to and the techniques you can use to make it easier.
Okay. Well, when someone first starts writing a book, should they be thinking about the audience that this is going to go to? Is that an important part whenever you start a book?
I think some people do that. A lot of people write the book that's in their heart, the book they really want to get out there, especially if it's memoirs or biographies, those kind of things. But it is important, once you publish the book, to not only know your own personality. So for me, marketing starts on the inside. What do you like to do? How are you going to share your book?
Okay.
But also, who's your market?
Right. Now, if it's a memoir for something like me, who no one knows who basically who I am. So I'm not going to be thinking in terms of marketing this to the masses, right? So is that even something you would think about if it's a kind of just almost like a memoir for your children, grandchildren, family members? Is marketing really something that comes into play?
I can speak
right?
to that, but I think you've had the experience of the memoir, so.
Well, I do not write memoirs myself. I write humorous mystery, but I know people that do, and some people have a very interesting story, and they do want to get it out. Maybe they were Irish immigrants and went through a lot of troubles, but like you say, marketing, if it's just something for your family,
right,
you probably wouldn't be that interested in marketing it to the world.
Yeah, I think that's the whole thing is to know what your market is. If you're
Right.
if you are, as Diana says, writing for the family, that's, you're not trying to get out there most of the time and expand that. So you don't need, for instance, you don't need to get a copyright.
Right.
You're writing for the family, you'll make so many copies and that's it. But if you do have a particularly interesting story and you want to market it, then you have to know what that market is. So you would find out, okay, maybe go to Southern California, the conference, and meet other people who have done memoirs and talk to them and find out how they went about it.
Okay.
That way, you're properly marketing, to the people you're going to sell to, because every genre is different,
Right.
so every market is different.
Right. So Diana, take me through maybe the steps that you did with your first book, or the first book that you were able to get published. What was that like in terms of what that marketing experience was like?
In marketing, well, I've been doing marketing for decades actually, but not book marketing. So book marketing was new to me. And I really started by creating a mailing list through an app on the computer, and also a website, and social media presence. So those are some of the basic things that people can do that's online.
That's almost cost-free, basically.
That's
and
right.
It's something you can do. You don't have to worry about hiring an agent to take care of those things for you and that kind of thing, right?
Or modest. Like for me, I built my own website with a program that specializes in author websites, but some people might have to pay $500, $1,000. It just depends on their comfort level with technology.
Okay. Scott, how about you? Did you kind of go through the same kind of process when you started doing your work?
Actually, the first thing I did was I got a vanity press, which means, they'll publish anything
Yes.
that you give them, but you pay them a few bucks. Okay, and then after doing that for a while, I decided I wanted to do it on my own. Being a poet, that's not a market that's really a mass market in certain ways.
You're not on the New York Times
It's
bestseller
a genre,
list
it's a specialty, yeah, exactly. So I went from doing the vanity press to actually printing my own books, using a publisher to do the printing and binding. But then I formed a team, and I worked through a Kindle because it's published on demand, which keeps your costs down. But I formed a team of an editor who was involved with publishing for years, and I also have a cover specialist. My wife is an artist, So she frequently does the cover on front, but then you need somebody to do, combine the text with the artwork and stuff like that. And that's what works best for me.
Are there pitfalls in doing the vanity press or self-publishing kind of world in that area? What are some of the things people need to watch out for if they decide they want to go that route? They can't get a big house to take it, or they can't find an agent.
Well, my point of view is you want to avoid any press that wants you to pay them to publish your book. Usually, if you're going, traditional, or you're having a publisher, you would want them to pay you, or a small fee.
Right.
And since I'm self-published, that's kind of my preference. I figured I was too old to start waiting 5 years to have my book published, so I do it myself.
Yeah, understandable. When someone writes their own book, I think sometimes there's that idea that, this is my precious, kind of where sometimes they can be a little precious about it. How important it is to have someone take a look at it, maybe a copy editor or someone like that, who can really kind of say, here's the direction you want to go with this, or here are the things that can stay and go.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things that people do. You can have a developmental editor look at the story overall, the characters, the flow of it. And then, of course, after that, there's copy editors and proofreaders. But you can also have beta readers, alpha readers, people that are good at looking at the text and telling you this doesn't work, or this is moving too slow, or whatever. And then, of course, you can go into the editing part.
Okay. Now, Scott, what does that feel like when someone comes back to you with your work and say, this needs to go, this isn't working? Is that kind of one of those things you have to kind of, I'm understanding that this is part of a team effort, it's not an individual thing sometimes?
Okay, well, I've developed a team. So part of it is that my wife is my tech expert. So I do all the work as far as putting the poems together and all that. And then I work with her, so she helps to edit it. But then I have an editor who has been involved in publishing for a long time. So she's a professional editor, so she gets eyes on it. Okay, and if there's something there that doesn't work, or that needs to be worked on further before we go to printing, then we do that. And the same thing with a cover editor. She'll give me 3 or 4 different iterations of what the cover should look like, and then the whole team gets together and picks out what would be best to represent. That way I am getting that reinforcement, and if there's something that needs to be cleared up, she tells me right away, you got to fix this. But that gives you a professional presentation, and everybody says, don't judge a book by a cover, and guess what everybody does?
Exactly.
Right, Diana?
Yes, and that's all part of the pre-publishing process. And what we're going to be focusing on at this panel is, after you've written the best book that you can, gotten the best cover that you can, and then published the book through Amazon or however you decide to do it, then you have to market it. Even if you have a small press publisher, you will have to do most of the marketing yourself.
Okay.
They're not
so
going
that's
to do
why
it
it's so important to have a marketing plan as an author. Even though you think to yourself, this should be the business side of things, I'm the writer. Why is it so important then that people need to make sure that they have an understanding of how the marketing works?
Well, like I said, I like to start marketing from the inside out, which is what do you like to do? Do you like to do things online, sitting in your own office? Or do you like to go out to bookstores, book clubs, events like that? And then, yes, once you've decided what works for you, then there's apps you can use, there's all kinds of strategies, and we're going to talk about those in the panel.
And it's coming up on Wednesday, March 20th. It's going to be Clubhouse 3, Dining Room 2 from 2 to 4 p.m. And people members are free, guests are $5.
That's right.
Now, do we need to register ahead of time?
No.
Come on in.
That's not our job. We don't know.
Well, sometimes a guest comes in and we convince them that it would be worth their while to join. So that's kind of how we do it. And sometimes a guest is coming for a particular person that is a friend or something like that. And but then they find out, I've always thought about doing that. Maybe I should get more engaged. And so it's a way of bringing people into the fold.
How can you guys make marketing fun for folks who don't do marketing?
Well, that's what my whole thing is. I think that marketing is fun. I've always loved marketing because you're really looking at who you are and what your market is it's not everybody wants to read your book. Just
Right.
like, Scott knows, there's a certain segment, and once you figure that out, it's fun to interact with people.
And it's fun to get to them. All
Yeah.
right. All right, well, it's coming up on March 20th, folks. Like we said, enjoy that over the clubhouse. And thank you both for coming in and joining us at the Publishing Club.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for having us.